Found in the heart of the legendary Abitibi gold region of Quebec sits a 400 square kilometer land bridge. Calling it home are an all-star team of project managers, technicians, and geologists with over 100 years combined experience. Together with an industry-leading partner, they're advancing 3 projects on top of a gold system of world-class proportions. This is Maple Gold Mines.
Welcome to our virtual site tour. We hope you enjoy the ride and enjoy the experience.
There's probably no other better jurisdiction to be operating in order to try to develop and permit and operate a mine than in the province of Quebec.
The Abitibi is one of the most prolific gold mining districts in the world.
You never know what the Abitibi is going to do for you. Look at big mines like Douay Lake. We started at a small thing and now it's a huge mine. Same thing with Canadian Malartic, which just keep growing. The more you mine, the more you find.
There's almost 200 million ounces of gold that's been produced out of the region, and we still believe there's a lot to be found here.
We're in the Casa Berardi, on the Casa Berardi deformation zone. All along the Casa Berardi deformation zone, you have past producing gold mines and current producing gold mines. We happen to sit in, I think, the best place, which is in between 2 of the deformation zones. We have 3 projects. We started with the Douay project, which is where we're sitting right now. We're on the Douay West zone. A short ways away is the Eagle Telbel projects. We're in a joint venture with Agnico Eagle on this project and Telbel. On the Eagle project, we have it 100% owned by Maple Gold. So we're advancing all 3 projects at the same time.
Most exciting thing about this project is all of the exploration that's been done to date on it is giving results which indicate there is the opportunity for a lot of gold to be proved up in the ground here.
What struck me about this project is the size. For geologists, size matters, and the size of a system is important. When you start looking at the maps, looking at more, let's say, technical data, you realize that you got gold over 6 kilometers. And to me, it's one hell of an anomaly on planet Earth. To get gold in 6 kilometers, it's not something that you see every day.
Certainly in terms of the geological size, this is world class. When I say world class, also has to do with scale. So you look at Malartic, 3 kilometers. You look at the scale of this system here, which is 6 kilometers long by 2 kilometers wide, as currently known. And there are clear indications of extensions where this may well end up being bigger. This is not a small deposit. In addition, we're not dealing with a single deposit, but we're actually dealing with the Douay resource area plus Eagle Telbel deposits. The resource expansion potential is very, very significant.
The most important thing is this idea of size. These guys found gold over 6 kilometers in a number of small discrete zones, but still it's a big system, and they are still exploring like if they haven't found the end of it yet. You know, for this kind of big deposit, you need more than a junior company. You have to have a partner. And with Agnico Eagle as a partner, now we have the support that we need financially, eventually, but also the technical aspects of it.
Agnico Eagle is a very large gold producing entity. And when they make an investment into a project or a company, it's only after they've done extensive diligence.
Agnico Eagle is the optimum partner because they're very active in Quebec. Their involvement at Malartic and now at Detour means that they have the experience that's needed to move this forward.
Agnico Eagle is one of the best in the business. For them to come in and recognize the value and see the potential, frankly, they're not making investments in projects, for example, that have 1 million ounces here or there.
Now they've announced a deal with Kirkland Lake to become one of the largest gold producers on the planet. And it's quite fortunate for us to have that kind of firepower behind us as a strong older cousin looking out for us. That lends the market credibility that most companies don't have at our stage. They've also invested cash into our company and are funding our exploration for 4 years.
It provides a lot of credibility to us as a company in that we've got, you know, an operator in Quebec who's probably in the top tier of credibility with the world in terms of being able to operate mines, number one, and being able to operate and be well known and well respected in the province of Quebec.
When we get people out to site and people get a sense of the scale of what we're trying to build, but also really get to know the people, Agnico does partnerships with groups that they trust. and they know, uphold the same sets of values and standards that they do.
They consider not only the environment, but the people and the culture that he's created there is just superb. So I think we're in good hands.
Agnico Eagle's investment with us is just a validation of what we believe is a good exploration company and a good asset in a good jurisdiction.
They think the potential is here to actually start producing a large amount of gold.
In the next 3 years, we have Agnico funding work. We'll be drilling and expanding the resource. We think it can grow by a multiple of what it is today. At the end of that earn-in phase, when Agnico spent $18 million, we'll be at a development stage.
They're as enthusiastic about the project as we are, so we look forward to more drilling, more discovery, and expanding the resource to the size that everybody would be overjoyed to have. Douay itself, the resource area, is advanced exploration. And I would say that Eagle Tail Bell is kind of similar. Now we have the advantage here that we're not starting from scratch. We're starting with a known deposit, and where we're doing our exploratory work is further afield. So we have fairly detailed information that's associated with the Douay deposit itself, as well as the Eagle Joutel deposits. That allows us to be a bit more precise in our exploration targeting. It's a very complex geology, so there are a series of different types of gold deposits in the Abitibi, and I've had the opportunity to work on most of those. What we have here is a system that we call intrusive related gold. So it's not quartz vein with gold in it, it's actually a gold deposit that's associated with an intrusive complex. The intrusive complex essentially means molten rock, if you wish, that comes up from depth. And the type of intrusives that we have here means that there's some very deep fractures that extend down deep in the earth. And these faults and fractures are typically long-lived, and they're one of the reasons why we have a system where it is. That system has an overprint that we call orogenic gold, which is associated simply with a deep fault system, as is fairly common in the Abitibi.
But for gold deposit in the Abitibi, they tend to be relatively small, like well-focused, vein type, high-grade deposit. But this one, it seems there is potential for the small, well-focused, high-grade system, but also has a potential for a big size deposit, amenable to open pit mining.
The size of Douay as it currently sits is really just scratching the surface. When you look at the continuity of mines in the Abitibi and the depth potential, and you realize, for example, within the top 350 meters at Douay, we've already defined 2.77 million ounces. We just had a maiden drill program with Agnico of only 10,000 meters, and we encountered 3 of the top 5 intercepts ever drilled on the Douay property.
This drill campaign that we had in winter 2021 is one of the best ever campaigns I had in my experience.
We drilled the longest single intercept of gold mineralization ever on the property. We got the second highest gold accumulation in 531 zone, and we got one of the longest intercepts in sedimentary environment to the north of Casa Berardi North Fault.
What's different is we are taking a modern approach to exploration. We have a systematic, 3-dimensional model that's based on a tremendous amount of drilling.
Keeping a 3D model up to date and using that 3D model for targeting purposes is bearing fruit. We expect to continue to be able to deliver the kind of intercepts that we have been delivering since we've been on the project. When you come here on site, you see the head frame and you think, well, this must be a past producing mine. And all that infrastructure was put in the late 1990s by a company that had an option on the property, and one of their obligations under that option was to put part of the deposit in production. In the end, though, they sunk the shaft to about 50 meters depth, so basically got down to bedrock. And then there were some additional considerations in terms of the price of gold, in terms of them being involved in other projects elsewhere in the region, and they ended up deciding not to pursue this project.
Mining is a confluence of many things, primarily the price of the underlying commodity. And if that's not doing well, no project can go forward. They left to go someplace else when gold was $280 an ounce, $300 an ounce. Today it's $1,800 an ounce.
Nothing was ever mined, there was never any production, so it was never shut down. In fact, what we're saying then is that the entire system is preserved as it was originally created.
You find a lot of very successful, what I would call restart stories within the industry, specifically also within the Abitibi in Quebec. And now we have a confluence of all these things where we have gold is doing well, we have a good partnership, and the project not just here, but if you imagine 6 kilometers by 2 kilometers, this, in my mind, it would be where we initially get underway, but we have a long ways to go in expanding the mine depth.
It starts and ends with the rocks, but everything in between is relationships. And so if there's not a cultural fit, if there's not a technical overlap, if there's not a collaborative spirit, things don't work.
We're fortunate to have an incredible team working on this project.
This is by far the best team I have ever worked with. It starts at the top. Matthew's created a culture encouraging of people to be their best, to work hard, to be invested in the company's success as well as their own. And it's an adventure every day that you come to work.
The team that Maple Gold has assembled is world class.
We've got continuity of people that have worked in the region for almost a generation.
What I find is these guys are excited, and starting from the top all the way down. Matthew is excited and all the teams around it is excited. So working with them gets you excited as well.
In our world, the geologists are gods. And we happen to have a few very gifted men and women running our exploration team here.
Geologists like Fred Spidell, who started his career 25 years ago here. David Broughton, one of our technical advisors, was drilling here in the 90s. Gerald Riveren, one of our board members, same thing. He's been famous in Quebec for decades. So we've got the right technical team and the right capital markets group to bring this forward.
A lot of companies are struggling to add quality people because obviously there's been a renaissance of the last couple of years, certainly in the gold space, and quality people are always hard to find, but in this market particularly, to boast the type of technical team that we have between Maple Gold and Agnico, it's quite rare.
We are as good as anybody in the world to actually bring this project forward.
You couldn't ask for a better place to work than Quebec. It's really a pleasure for us to come to work every day, and we want people who come and experience Maple Gold and become shareholders here to get a little bit of a sense of how much this means to us.
And it is unique because you have an infrastructure here. So we have all the utilities, facilities, we live a normal, civilized life, and yet we are on the ground.
The ability to access the site with respect to infrastructure that's already in place is second to none. You can see we have access to water, we have access to power, which are the most important resources that you need infrastructure-wise to be able to build a mine. So the location is absolutely second to none. It's a lot better than some of the locations that other exploration companies would be looking to build a mine in, such as maybe in Africa or places in South America where there are no roads to get into these sites and you're potentially looking to develop a mine at 4,000 or 5,000 meters elevation. And I'll tell you, from being at those sites, this is a lot better. You're within a 2-hour drive from an airport.
The drive up here from Val d'Or or Rouen is just over 2 hours. You're on a 2-lane blacktop highway.
A couple miles from the 109 highway, which allows us to get to anything we need. Infrastructure is everywhere. We have skilled labor in Amos and Matagami. So what's great for the people who work at this camp is if they wanted to get home and watch their kids play hockey, at the end of the workday they could and come back to work the next morning. In most mining locations that I've worked in the Gobi Desert or deep in the DRC or other places, that doesn't exist. It's not even possible. The government of Quebec is supportive. If we put $1 million of drilling, we get $340,000 back. They know that it's a huge part of the economy here and they're very supportive of everything all exploration companies are doing. So that's unheard of anywhere else on the planet. Here as an exploration camp, we try to encourage as much as possible employing the Pikogan, which is one of the First Nations groups, to give back to them and give them employment.
Involvement in the community, community engagement, social license to operate, all of these things have been crystallized into full-blown, high-priority things for any junior company, any mid-tier company, and any major operating company. There's a deep history of hard rock mining in this region of Quebec, so by and large they're supportive. The initial conversations we've had with the nearby First Nations have been positive. This isn't somewhere where you have to educate the local population on what mining is and what it means and what it can do. They understand, just from the history in the region, what mining can bring to the area.
In Quebec, we're very fortunate. This is a mining-friendly place. There's been 200 million ounces of gold produced in the Abitibi, so you have local communities that not only are supportive, but want to help and be a part of the story. You know, it's just pretty rare in the Abitibi to have the kind of land package that Maple Gold does, 400 square kilometers. Excites me that we have the best partner in the world we could ask for in Agnico Eagle. It's a rare opportunity to have a big established gold resource that keeps growing and have so much historical data and the original operator to help us bring an old production story back into a restart.
We want the mining analysts to realize, hey, this is a big playground. These guys know what they're doing. They got the background, the experience, and they got the financial capability to do it. It's a big system in the right part of the world.
The quality of the project should be attractive to anybody that wants to be part of a world-class discovery.
I worked on other interesting projects, but this one is the best so far.
In terms of geological endowment, it's very clear that this is a world-class system.
I firmly believe this is going to become one of the best mining gold stories in Canada, if not the world. We have 400 square kilometers of an incredible project. With every Joule program, we keep getting better and better.